welcome back to the last game of the day here at the Intel Extreme Masters Season 10. We've completed with both open brackets, kinda. We still have one game left. Usually in the Intel Extreme Masters we have 4 players that qualify through both open brackets. We already have those 4, but because of a dropout in group stages, we have one final match remaining. We'll go into that in a quick second. Joining me here is Kolaris and Todd. Good to have both of you on the desk for one final time. Have you had a good day so far?
Yeah, the games have been good. Like really back and forth. There's a lot of variation as well, so I've been enjoying it.
Todd?
Yeah, it's been pretty good.
I
just pictured In Control doing an impression of you when you did this.
Yeah?
In Control's a very good impressionist.
Yeah.
He does a very good Todd too. Very fluent French accent.
No, he doesn't. It's Roddy only that can do me.
Roddy's pretty good at you.
So
Actually, there's one other guy that can do it really well, is Nathanias. He does a lot of complaints very well. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the open brackets. As mentioned, we finished with open bracket number 1, and here it is that is completely played out. One person, though, from this open bracket is Bly. They're kind of in the middle, slightly to the right, who lost versus Hero Marine, got knocked into the decider match, where he had one more opportunity. We can go forward into open bracket number 2 as well, where we have in the same position, unfortunately, uThermal was unable to defeat Rhett just now, and now must go up against Bly. We've played a total of 8 best of 3s so far. It seems like it's been a pretty fast day, and it's only day 1 of day 5 in total of the Intel Extreme Masters. Lots of fun, but now serious business. As Kolaris would say, Todd, it's a do or die moment.
Yeah, and uThermal, it's going to be his 3rd shot, his 3rd match points to make it here into the group stage. If he loses, man, I'm going to be really sad. I'm going to give him a hug, I think.
It is a devastating loss, of course. Like, all right.
So many chances, and like in TVZ as well. Like it's supposed to be, you know, one of the matchups that he liked, but it's just not having any success except this one map where the double proxy Reaper worked.
Yeah. What have you seen so far today, Kolaris, from uThermal? I mean, sorry. Let's go to Bly first. Let's go to Bly first.
Sure, we can do that. Bly is, I don't know, he's always kind of a real wild card, to be honest, whenever he comes into these tournaments, and he's always able to exhibit like crazy strategies and far out stuff. But the thing is, for him in 2015, has he really breached Challenger much? Like, he is kind of in the air of Challenger player, whereas uThermal for me in the European scene has like transcended that a little bit, right? So I think it might be a little bit hard for Bly.
All right, well, Bly has another opportunity as well. He's similar position, of course. These guys have had one before, uThermal one extra one. Bly is feeling great. He's had a long rest. There was a big difference between finishing open bracket number 1 and being where he is now. He's been chilling out in the crowd. He's been speaking with Hero Marine a lot, talking about the games, just relaxing and composing himself for this next match. But uThermal, kind of in a different light here, has had to play game after game after game, and as you've said, has lost quite a few in a row. Do you think that's going to burst his confidence? Because at the start of the day, when he did lose the initial match, he was like, you know what, I got another chance, it's no problem. But he's lost that as well.
Yeah, there is a chance. He needs to somehow, I guess, like find a way to awaken himself and like play better. Maybe he could go to the toilet, like splash his face with water and like scream, "You're the best," in the mirror, and then like, you know, like he's back in here like playing his best all of a sudden. But something needs to click, because he hasn't looked, you know, as good as I think he can actually play. Even though, you know, he's been like very build order involved.
Yeah.
But even like some of those decisions, they were a little bit weird. You know, like that last game against Reds, playing so passive and stuff. I said it from the start in the cast. Like, if you do that against Reds, you're going to be in trouble almost every single time.
I mean, it's a huge difference of game though right now between playing against Bly, who's let's just say a crazy type of player, compared to playing against Rhett, who's like, if you don't actually touch me earlier on, I'm going to crush you, because that's how good I'm playing right now. But now he's going up against Bly, and needs to kind of rethink his game.
I think it's probably better to go up against somebody like Bly, though, if you're uThermal there, because you play a lot more standard, like you play defensive, and if you can, you know, go into a longer game, I think you're going to be able to do really well. So I don't think he will mind. He's probably going to be pretty happy about having to play Bly for his final match to try and qualify rather than Reds or something like that.
Well, Bly, you know, he's played against Terran already today. He couldn't deploy his aggressive strategies like he had done against Protoss Kolaris, because it just doesn't really work unless you go in full gung-ho and expecting to lose rather rapidly. You have to play a normal game, which Bly did attempt, but he wasn't able to pull it off as good as most other players did. So you think that he is going to be hurting here, like you said?
Yeah, I think so. If you look at both of them, if they do both, like usually you see uThermal being quite the aggressor, and that's why I think he came surprised to Todd when he didn't quite get that against Rhett going in that final game. But if they do butt heads in an aggressive manner, think in the end, uThermal would be able to win out that kind of situation.
Best of 3 though, anything can really happen in this kind of format. When it gets to best of 5, it's a lot more flexible, a lot more room for error and changes a bit with your gameplay. But best of 3 here, this could be over as fast as it begins.
Yeah, I think definitely. The thing is, best of 3 is still a little bit volatile, so it's going to be very important, I guess, for uThermal to try and play solid, read into what Bly is doing, and for Bly to, I guess, maybe somewhat surprise uThermal, be it with a crazy all-in or some actually solid play, which I don't think too many people expect out of him at times.
This is almost like a moment for Bly where everyone, has seen his Twitter feed, you've seen, the Reddit post, including his Twitter feed, was like, #Bly on fire, and then you look at results and you're like, really? This is the type of moment where he's like, no, actually, I made top 16 in the NCT Masters, I broke out the open bracket, and then we'll see how well he does it in the other groups.
You know what's funny? I feel like this is really something that your father, Red Eye, would say on something like this, a panel at this moment. But
my father?
I guess it's quite true, to be honest.
Grandfather.
I guess it's quite true, though. Like, Bly hasn't had too many big results, so like if he makes it there, then there's quite a few more matches that he gets to play in as well. So it'd be really cool for him and like a good result, even if it's just top 16 and he ends like in the group stage.
All right. Well, one other thing that you guys have done or hopefully have done and also can still do is compete in the Fantasy League. If you've missed day 1, you can still compete in day 2, 3, 4 and 5 to see where you match up against other community members. All you've got to do is go to esl.gg/sc2fantasy. Todd thinks he's a bit of a wizard when it comes to predictions. Results have said otherwise. Have you predicted well today? I'm not sure. Maybe you made a few mistakes.
Maybe not very well, no.
What about you, Colaris? How have you done? I mean, you haven't really been up here too much to tell us, but you're an honest guy, you don't lie very often, and you're one guy to trust.
Very often.
How well did you do today?
Maybe like 50-50. Maybe 50-50.
Okay, well, honest answer. You see, that's what the
What about
guy
you?
is. Oh, I got 100% right.
Yeah, because you never say anything out loud. So
Yeah, but
how
it's
can
all
we
in
know?
here. It's all
That
in
was
here.
the lie reflection thing.
See, that's Red Eye. That's such a Red Eye thing too.
That's true. Actually, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. All right, final predictions. Game is almost ready, Todd.
I think uThermal is going to take it too.
Yeah, James?
Yeah, I think uThermal.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. It's time to head for the commentary team for one final time on day 1. It's the last match of the evening in the open bracket.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We are excited for this final best of 3 of the day and figure out who is going to make it to the group stages of the Intel Extreme Masters main event. And you know what, Glade? We're going to do something a little different over here. I feel like every single time someone has been sitting over here, people start arguing about how good they are, how they would still beat each other.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, you know what, Glade? I watched your stream recently.
Yeah.
You played very well.
I watched your stream too, man. You're fantastic.
Thank you.
You're way better than Todd, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think we can all agree upon
That
that.
guy, I mean...
I've watched his hero stream, though. He was carrying his team. Like,
Was he?
Yeah, solid.
Yeah, I can imagine that. If he's not abusing them, he's either carrying them.
Yeah, all that practice eventually comes into play.
If only that was Grandmaster for Heroes of the Storm, right?
He would have had it already.
He would be rank 1 by now, man, with the amount of games he's played.
No, like I've heard Todd is rank 1 in Heroes of the Storm, but a lot of people are. Claris is rank 1 too.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting ladder system because you get that rank and you kind of just stay there. There's no beyond rank past rank 1.
Like if that would be the case in StarCraft 2, Todd would lose like half his Bantic abilities because all he can do is talk about his rank in StarCraft. So like if everyone have the same rank, then I'm not sure if Todd would still be a caster.
I don't think so either, to be honest.
All right, we do love you, Johan. We're getting ready to hop into the first match of this final best of 3 of the day. It is going to be played on Moonlight Madness. Are we going to have our first Ukrainian player qualify for the Intel Extreme Masters in Gamescom, or is it going to be our first Dutchie?
That's a fantastic question, I gotta say. And these two players are also hyper aggressive, which is going to be a lot of fun when we get into it. So aggressive, but you can lead the way with the introductions, Ruddy.
All right, I'll do the Ukrainian Zerg on the right top side of Moonlight Madness. Who is representing Acer? It is Bly. And I do the Ukrainian Zerg. Man, I can't say Ukrainian right now. I said like Ukrainian. It's like well,
it's like an accent. It's kind of nice.
Ukrainian Zerg. But yeah, I didn't want to be biased, so you can do the Dutch.
All right, down here in the bottom left, we do have the fantastic Dutch player showing some great games today already. It is uThermal.
traditionally has always been struggling a little bit in TVZ, even though he's definitely had his good series. For instance, when he qualified to the Inter-Extreme Masters in Shenzhen, his final round in the European bracket was against Snoot, and he played a great series where Snoot maybe had the upper hand in game number 3, but uThermal, you know, he hung in there like a champ, stuck around, got a couple of great Widowmine hits, and he was able to close out that series. So he does have a couple of great victories against good Zerg players on his belt, but traditionally it's been the weakest matchup of the 3 for him.
Yeah, I'm hoping this time around he doesn't try and go overly aggressive like he did against Red. You know, going for 2 double proxy Raxes with Reapers in a row is a little too much. And it really put him behind him. He kind of gave away a game where he could have really mixed it up. I'd love to see him go for probably a little bit more defensively against Bly, who is known for his aggression.
You know, I actually watched the uThermal vs Red at the DSCL finals in Amsterdam. I already mentioned it earlier at the desk. And on Iron Fortress, uThermal went mass Reaper.
Yeah.
Like he started off with a couple Reapers. I was like 3, oh, he's going 5 Reapers. He's going 7 Reapers. He's adding 2 more barracks. And in the end, he added up, or like he ended up with 12 or 13 barracks with only Reapers. And he won against Red.
No? They can catch you out, man. If you're not ready for that, if you've like delayed your link speed for long enough, gone for a super greedy build.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, like, it even went up to the phase of the game where Zerg had 3 bases, had queens, had a couple roaches, but there were just so many Reapers. There were like 50, 60, 70 Reapers, and it's very hard to figure out when you can take a fight then or not as a Zerg, because normally you don't face that army, so it's really hard to predict the damage output of that army and, you know, the ability from the army to maybe get out of the fight if they want to and stuff. So one bad fight and Reaper numbers can totally snowball out of control.
Yeah, that is a lot of fun, and yeah, it really depends, because the Zerg can take so many horrible fights right next to a cliff, and they don't actually get any kills, but lose so much from the kiting. So
I would love to see uThermal bust out that build. If we get to see Iron Fortress, it would be so sick to see him go 12 Rax Mass Reaper.
Well, this map, you know, Moonlight Madness in general is also a pretty fun one to see, because we do see that tank drop occasionally. It's such a quirky sort of map layout, especially those 3 bases. It's so hard to defend from air, I mean from drops or from Mutalisks, for instance. It's about getting there, and I'm curious to see if uThermal has one of those plans lined up if he wants to go for the tank drop and try and harass it, or is he going to actually take a step back? But I think like every player should take a step back when they play against Bly. It's like, okay, it's Bly, he's crazy. Let's just see what happens and defend. Make a tank and just wait.
Link speed is on the way for Bly. I must say, out of the games I saw so far from Bly today, I actually think he played very well against Hero Marine on this map. Hero Marine was being hyper-aggressive against Bly for a change, even though Bly did get those couple SCV kills. But Hero Marine stayed on 2 bases, and Bly really hung in there as a champ. And at a certain point, I truly felt that it was kind of his game to lose. I felt he had a better army, slightly better economy, and he just had, you know, so much, let's say, potential to make great plays with Blinding Clouds, with Fungals. But he, like you guys mentioned as well, during that cast, he just kind of forgot about all of his roaches during that one fight.
Yeah, that was such a crucial fight too. Yeah, that was one scrappy game. It really was back and forth in a weird way.
The idea from Bly's play was very smart. This is a map where if you break down those rocks and start running around with roaches, especially roaches with Tottering Claws, it's very hard. You know, like if you watch those games as an observer, it often doesn't look like that much of a pain in the ass. Like, you're like, oh, okay, there's a couple of burrowed units, but it's no big deal, right? But if you're actually playing against that stuff and you don't have vision on them all the time, it drives you insane, because every single time you want to look away, it's like, your base is under attack. It's like, oh, not again.
And they're so hard to kill. If they have burrow movement, you know, you got to be chasing them for days. You got to make sure you have enough DPS if you want to scan.
Exactly. That is like often the key. Yeah, you can scan, but then you just push them outside of scan radius, and then they survive again, and then it's like, well, I do really want to attack, and then you want to move out again, and they unburrow. So I truly thought the idea that Bly had, going for those roaches with Tottering Claws, was awesome. And I even thought his execution was great. We'll see if we see something similar over here. That Reaper just died. A little bit sloppy there. Didn't have to die.
Well, look at this. We do see that Roach Warren finishing up pretty quickly. So he could just go for the exact same sort of style here. Wouldn't be a bad choice. I do love it on this map specifically because, you know, you really need roaches to take down the debris, you know, open up the back door, and it's such a hard map to defend 2 fronts from as well.
Do you think he's going to drop the mine at that potential 3rd base location just to be annoying?
That would be really annoying. But I think he wants a drone hit or 2, or maybe like try and buffer, like get a good hit on the Lings if they try and defend But this counterattack could do something.
Yeah, these two Hellions should be able to take care of it. He still has a lot of Hellions out on the map as well. A little bit sloppy there by uThermal. He was tanking a lot of shots from that Spore Crawler, and that's why this Medevac is so low on HP right now.
Oh, big hits as well.
Wow. Oh. Man, that's Spore. That's really smart. That's cool by Bly. I like that a lot.
That's ridiculous. That's actually saved his life. Can you imagine if 5 Hellions got in there? There's nothing to defend, really. Just a bunch of Lings. Wow, that's really smart by Bly.
Yeah, actually, I haven't seen it a whole lot, a wall off like that. I think it's extremely smart. Of course, you can just uproot your Spore Crawler and reposition it later on. So it's not even that you have to destroy one of your own buildings. One of those. Sometimes you see people destroying one of their evolution chambers when they made like 3 or 4 out of panic mode. But yeah, cool little move there by Bly. Excellent.
Yeah, it's cute. And you know, I wonder, did uThermal pay attention to the games that Bly played earlier? Does he know that he goes to style on this map? We do see a Banshee coming out, but might want to invest in tanks, which he already is.
That was the final series of the previous bracket, and I'm pretty damn sure that by then uThermal was already starting his bracket. Played against Torrentius, I believe, or he played against the Protoss first. I think he played against Goody as well. At least uThermal was already starting, while Hero Marine versus Bly was on the way. Maybe he did some homework. Maybe one of his managers that is present over here at the venue told him what happened.
Spore's back. There's no way he's getting in there. He's going to get a Queen for his efforts though, but that's like a lot of Hellions for a Queen. A lot of map control gone.
What I thought was really funny is that he got a creep tumor over there by accident, but that tumor wasn't active, so it's not really the end of the world. I think it would have been a lot better for uThermal if he would have dropped that mine. I mean, he got the 4 kills, but if he would have been able to get it out of there and then drop it at that potential third base location,
yeah, that would be
very
good.
Frustrating, very, very frustrating.
Even keep the Hellions there as well. You know, they didn't really get anything done besides kill a Queen. But if you have the Hellions hovering around, denying creep at the third base, and then deny the drone, like you're buying yourself a lot of time.
Yeah, and this all goes back to that very first moment when the Medevac flew into the main base. I don't want to be overly nitpicky over here, but that is such an important key moment in the game because that represents your aggression, represents how long the aggression will stay around, and it gives you so much option. Instead, he unloads above a Spore Crawler, tanks 4, 5, 6 shots, and that makes it already incredibly hard to ever pick up any units when there are 2 Queens that are standing on top of those units.
Yeah, you got to be on top of that. And this Banshee harassment, not going to find much here. Might want to bring them home considering a lot of Roaches are heading to that main base. Not really a big block off either, and only a couple of tanks and a few Marines to defend. Roaches can jump on top of this. 2 Banshees, they're going to
2
really
Banshees, a Marauder, and a bunch of Marines, and 2 tanks. I think that's a little bit too much. You know, Bly picking up a couple of depots is nice, but I think he wants to get out of here. You don't want to give away too many Roaches for nothing. They're cheap Glade, but they're not that cheap.
Yeah, they are. They're not that cheap. You can't get away with that. Not when there's 3 Banshees wailing away at them. You got to get out of there.
Yep. Especially because if he ends up losing too many, then eventually uThermal will just march across the map and straight up win as soon as he has a bunch of Marines, Stimpak, and let's say 2 or 3 Medevacs.
To be honest, he's probably planned that already, and I do love that he keeps these Banshees alive. So if he can keep this Banshee count going while he builds up this Marine tank force, it should be a pretty easy move across the map unless we see a lot of Hydras come out very shortly.
Does he really have to though? Let's take a look at the income tab real quick. It's 61 SCVs against 54 drones.
Yeah.
Does uThermal even have to move out?
Not really. I guess there's always a fear though if it gets to Vipers eventually, like you don't want to deal with that. You probably want to try and fight the army before then. He could actually work on this hatchery. Yeah, there we go. He might even get it. One Queen ain't gonna stop that.
I would have gone for the Spore. I'm ambitious. Kill the Spore, mate.
Kill the Spore? Nah, that gives it too much time. But either way, ooh, this could do something.
Like, I think it's very smart that uThermal is not moving out yet, because I kind of feel that's what Bly wants him to do. Then Bly can start counterattacking, since leaving a couple Roaches behind.
Oh, look at this. He spotted it.
It's very cool that Bly does that with only 1 Roach. Now he's going to unburrow all of them. We'll pick off 1 or 2 Rexes immediately. He's going to get the refinery as well. Maybe that supply depot. Just a couple of small pickups over here that will make it harder and harder for uThermal to spend his money. But talking about money, look at the amount of minerals that Bly has saved up.
Yeah, that's going to have to be a lot of Hydras pretty soon because that is way too much money. You need to start spending it. It's so inefficient, especially when you're using larvae, man. You got to use your larvae so they can regenerate. It's all part of the macro, and 18 Hydras are going to be the choice.
We'll still have quite a bit of minerals left, and it's going to be important for Bly that he maybe gets just another base, like even if it eventually gets cancelled.
Shame builds, you know, like 4 or 5 overlords in a base, just hide those minerals.
Yeah, exactly. Like don't Nobody wants to be that guy that has 1,200 minerals
No.
on stream.
Now, I've done it before. I've shame built stuff that I didn't need just to hide that money.
I think it's great. Like that's what I do sometimes when I all in someone on ladder, and then like while I'm already winning, I'm like taking an extra nexus, and nobody hoped it. Nobody noticed my minerals spiked up. And then people are like, "Oh, Roddy, was that transitional?" Absolutely.
Yeah. Sell it every time. Fake it till you make it. It's a good money to have. I'm just gonna open up the back.
I mean, he's making more and more Hydras now. And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily if he gets a great engagement later on. But Hydras are pretty gas intense. Gets the infestation pit as well. He truly needs a 7 and 8 extractor.
Yeah, he needs 8 extractor, especially if he's going to hive like this. He throws down the infestation pit, so most likely going for Vipers eventually. Wow. I think we might. It is a pretty late sort of tech as well. I'm sure we're going to actually see uThermal move out before then as well.
So many Hydras, has to be careful. 4 Banshees represent a lot of potential damage output. Not very normal to see this amount of Banshees in this phase in the game.
Yeah, I like it though. He's really looked after them, kept them all alive. And they've really added up the damage at this point.
And it's something you have to respect as well if you're Bly. You don't just attack and rally reinforcements across the map, because if 4 Banshees hover above your reinforcements, they'll just pick them all off one by one.
Yeah, work on the extractors, another great idea. Still keeps him alive there.
Oh my god, look at Bly's money. Bly, why don't you want to take a 4th base?
He doesn't need to, man. He's got so much money as it is.
That's a good point.
I think maybe Bly's a little tired at this point as well.
Yeah, he was actually. I was talking a little bit with Bly, and of course Bly had to wait quite a while for the people just tune in. Bly came from the first bracket, Open Bracket 1, that was played early today, and he had to wait all the way for Open Bracket 2 to be played out for this final decider game to determine who is going to be the 5th player to advance to the Intel Extreme Masters Gamescom group stage.
Wow.
Which will be starting off tomorrow.
uThermal's so smart, he's just waiting. I like this a lot, actually. You can sit on 3 base. They're on equal bases. There is no reason to move out.
Yeah, in the old days, I would always say that like as long as Terran gets up to this phase in the game, then it's pretty much they have an invincible army for Roach Hydra to kill. But Roach Hydra became, of course, a lot stronger as soon as people got a lot better in controlling Infestors and Vipers at the same time. Because I do believe that the combination of a maxed out Roach Hydra Viper Infestor player could beat the army that uThermal is currently being maxed out on. But it's very difficult to control as a Zerg.
Certainly so.
I'm so mad that Bly just refuses to take a 7 and 8 gas. Okay, hey, he's taking it. Wow.
Yeah, it's one of the most basic rules in Zerg versus Terran. You have to stay a base ahead because Terran gets so cost efficient, especially when you're using this kind of army against Terran. Roach Hydra is not that good in the late game, especially the Roaches. They kind of become useless, and now that 2-2's finished for uThermal, like he's got some great upgrades to work with here.
Poor Bly, it took him forever to take extra head treat, then he takes 3, one is gonna get cancelled immediately, and the other one uThermal will just land in the scan on top of that base on the left up side of the map. Some 6 spider senses.
Yeah.
He saw it with the scan.
Now it gets a little tricky because, yeah, he doesn't have the creep spread either, from a 4th base or even towards the middle of the map, which is going to make all engagements harder.
Bly is getting really unfortunate over here. Burrows 5 roaches, scan goes down on top of his army immediately. A couple of units are misrallied a little bit down the high ground. It's kind of sloppy there as uThermal end up losing 4 or 5 Marines and 2 Marauders. Not for a whole lot, to be honest.
Yeah, look at this. Great Aspire on the way. If that's allowed to go up and Broodlord's morphed, this could be big trouble for uThermal. He should probably look to make his move before then. I'm sure he is. He's really just sitting outside the creep range there, starting to work on that, deflecting anything that comes his way.
So uThermal has most of his units on the other side of the map, I believe, so these roaches could potentially be very annoying. First Corruptors are on the way now for Bly as well. He could even do a small little drone trick and maybe end up with 214, 215 supply. Something we haven't seen in a while, but right now making 10 spores is absolutely not going to hurt him when it comes to the mineral department.
Yeah, certainly not. And somehow keeps that planetary alive, but it's burning down. If he's not paying attention, it will go.
This game is being very silly. This is not what we had in mind. 175 supply now for Bly, but he's getting his first Broodlords. Would probably like to get a few more, as he has a couple of free Corruptors now left as well. But ooh, he needs to.
Is he gonna he's gonna repair instead
repair
of?
It, yeah.
Oh,
he's just teasing us right now.
He's got more coming. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, he is.
No, they're bringing. I think okay. Well,
Okay.
we're gonna get engagement in the middle of the map as uThermal is cleaning out these creep tunes in the high ground. There are Vipers out though, and there are Broodlords on the way as well. Bly is sending a few more roaches, I believe, to that forward base of uThermal. Let's take a look. He did repair it pretty much all the way up to full, so that's well done.
Yeah, well, these Broodlords are going to create a huge problem. He's going to have to retreat from here. There's no way he can fight when these Broodlords start working on the bio. And tanks are just going to team kill, do its own
If you're
damage.
uThermal right now, most of the time you should just be patient. Like, don't think it's okay, because most of the time it's not okay. But he's still going to try, but like you said, these tanks are just going to team kill. A lot of friendly fire being done. Because these tanks are shooting at those broodlings, and a couple tanks will get picked off immediately. What? Did he just abduct?
wow.
He abducted his own broodling?
Did he really?
Yes!
I didn't even know you could do that, but it makes sense, I guess. Oh my goodness, he wasted a lot of energy on this abduct, so no blinding cloud for the next fight, but with these Broodlords and the Infestor Hydra to buffer for them, there's no problem there at all.
How many Vikings are we looking at though? Without Vikings, this is going to be extremely difficult for uThermal. uThermal has 2 Vikings at the moment. Stimps forward, gets 1, 2 Broodlords. That's pretty damn nice for 4, 5, 6 Marines.
It's going to really even it up, but these tanks are still getting demolished. He needs more Marines up there.
It's so hard to get close. There's an Energer. There's an Infestor there as well with quite a bit of energy. Could land another Fungal Grove if he wants to. And Bly seems to be in control of game number 1 over here. Of course, the more time he gives uThermal, the more likely it is uThermal will eventually be able to squeeze out enough Vikings. But right now, Bly's army is looking terrifying for uThermal.
Yeah, this is actually quite, at this point, a pretty unstoppable army, just simply because he doesn't have the right tech in place, he doesn't have the right army composition at all.
His orbital's down.
Yeah,
there's no saving this one.
That one blew up. And well, I mean, these Broodlords, they're few in number, but it's more than enough to really mess up the fight because these tanks are constantly going to be shelling their own bio.
I hate it when Terrans build their starports in locations they will most likely be attacked in. It's like, that starport is very important. You're trying to get out enough Vikings to deal with those Broodlords, and now you end up losing one of your starports. It's very unnecessary.
I do like this though. He's going for the counterattack. He realizes that army is so immobile when you're babysitting Broodlords like this. So
can I take a look at the army supply real quick? 119 against 132. Oh my god, Bly even has more army supply. He's only on 56 drones. These Hydras will take care of this planetary fortress as well. So not a whole lot of mining left anymore for uThermal. He pretty much needs to crush Bly in this fight.
Yeah, he might just do it. He's getting rid of all the Broodlords, but these Fungals and Blinding Clouds are going to be doing so much work. Oh, that's close. It looks like the Hydras are dwindling away though. But it's going to be about that Remax though.
Oh, wow. Esports history is being made over here. Tasteless. Funka made a mistake. Sorry, Funka. I had to call you out of there. Love you, Funka. It's nice to know Funka's human, though.
Yeah, it's like one of those few mistakes that'll happen ever.
The first one ever, actually.
First one ever, man. Doesn't happen normally.
The day that Funka made a mistake.
Well, now there's a big problem. Thermal completely caught out in that composition, that tech switch, and down 50 supply. Only has 1 mining base now. Bly's looking fantastic all of a sudden.
This is one of these games, like I'm sure you're familiar with this. Like you're playing a game and then you kind of think it might be close and you finally clean it up and then you watch the replay and then it turns out your opponent had 6k minerals in the bank all the time. You're like, oh my god, this guy, like he was awful, but he's just so much more money.
It's actually really depressing. Like you have a fantastic game, like, man, that was a great game.
And then I just had enough and you watch the replay and you look at the mineral count, it's like, this was never even close. This was super unfair. How did I get in this situation?
It's like, how did the game go for this long when he had this much money?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what this uThermal's thinking right now, because he just crushed a pretty expensive army. Of course, he's aware of the fact that he lost mining bases, but he also knew that Bly was on 3 bases for the longest amount of time, and that normally is supposed to be a good thing for you as a Terran player, but Bly is being close to maxing out again. The only issue Bly has is that he's still a little gas starved, but that's all.
Yeah, that's always going to happen when you forego that 4th base for, most of the game. Just kind of a crazy thing. These roaches.
He's getting an Ultralisk cover now as well, which I don't like, because uThermal is already very Marauder heavy, and I don't think that Bly needs to get the Ultralisk. I don't even think he has great upgrades for Ultralisk.
I think it's kind of just the potential Remax option. Like, if he wipes out this army, there's not much left over, and there's no tanks or Marauders, go into Ultras, and you're in such a great place.
But if you're already gas starved, is it really smart to throw down an Ultralisk cover?
Well, I mean, it's not going to hurt, right? When you're this small on gas. Maybe in the future you can, because he does have those extra bases now. He should be on about 10 gas, but it still hasn't banked up nearly enough.
Yeah, and he's still making a lot of Hydra. He's getting +3 carapace now as well. Has +3 whistle. He does have +2 melee, so in case he wants to go for ultras, they have some upgrades. It's not perfect yet. No kindness plating though, so he would have to invest in that one too. But Bly is going to knock on this. This is a beautiful concave for uThermal. He's heavily down when it comes to army supply, but that's pretty much the best concave a man could have ever dreamed of.
It's actually ridiculous that he fought into that, and well, it looks like he might clean it up simply because he had such high numbers.
They have phenomenal upgrades as well on those Hydras. uThermal is just a little too poor for Bly right now. Bly is up 50-60 supply, has 1400 minerals in the bank, 900 gas, and this is very surprising. All jokes aside, uThermal is a regular when it comes to WCS Premier League. Bly right now has not made it into Premier League one time this year, but it seems like he's taking a pretty convincing 1-0 lead over uThermal over here.
Yeah, he's pretty much closed it out at this point. When you're double supply like this, you're so far ahead in economy. He does have that one mining base in the top left, but I think that's about to go down as well.
Yep, I would love to spin this in any shape or form that I think uThermal could still win this, but I really don't think there is any holding this army of Bly's. uThermal is going to lose his last few tanks. He's going to try to buy a little bit more time for himself, but if he would know what we knew, if he would see the numbers that we see, then he would know that there is absolutely no saving this game anymore. 140 supply against 46 army supply, and the last and only mining base for uThermal is going to get picked off. These SCVs will die. Wow. Don't do this. That's bad karma, Bly.
That's bad karma.
That is really bad karma. No one ever dances in game number 1. You just poked the beast. uThermal is going to go Super Saiyan in game number 2, man.
He's going to hide that CC in the top left and force out a drawers.
There is a guy once upon a time in the past, far, far away, that danced his units in game 1 against Todd. You don't want to see the things Todd did to him in game number 3.
Oh, man, especially Todd.
Yeah.
Salt City, man, he would be so mad.
Todd just turned into a salt volcano, man. Like, he burst it open and he sprayed salt all over Sutherland's friends.
Oh, no, the Broach is going to deny the repair. Down to 10.
9, 4, 3, 2, 1. Roach is like, firework! That was Todd right there after this guy danced his units in game number 1. Todd got a sweet revenge. uThermal is probably a little aggravated right now. He's like, really, Bly? You're dancing your units in game number 1?
Well,
probably mumbling to himself, this is literally the first map you've ever taken off me, and you're dancing your units?
It does seem like uThermal's the kind of the emotional type, though, so it is not a bad idea, to be honest. GG.
Man, shocker. Look at Bly, really pleased with himself. Had to wait a long time. Actually, a very impressive performance, because once again, Bly came from the first open bracket. Had to wait roughly 3 hours before he could finally start this one best of 3 that would determine whether or not Bly will stay an extra few days in Cologne and will still be in the running to become the Intact 3 Masters Gamescom champion. But I would even say, if you look at the lineup, as a professional player, if you get a chance, an opportunity to play on a big stage against someone like Sewer Innovation, I think that's a great opportunity. And of course, you know, you can always hope for the easier draw, but if you do get an option to play against a Sewer, against an Innovation, like, I don't care what you tell me. Yes, these guys are professionals, but those guys, they're still sort of idols as well, because
oh, absolutely,
they're almost playing StarCraft in their own little universe.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah. It would be a lot of fun to see him take a putt shot at that. I've always wanted to in the past.
I can totally see Bly freaking out Innovation with his crazy belt and then dancing his units in game number 1 against Innovation.
Never do that to someone like Innovation.
He's going to rage. All right, we're going to head over to a very small commercial break, and after that we'll be back with the conclusion of day 1 of the Intact 3 Masters Gamescom. Welcome back, everyone, to the final best of 3 of the first day of the Intact 3 Masters Cologne, which will be happening at Gamescom, at least the final day. I'm, of course, Kevin the Carlson. Rather than with me is Moonglade, and contrary to popular belief, he is not a serial killer.
No, I'm not. I'm certainly not. Not that you guys know about anyway, so just keep it down in Twitch chat.
If you guys wonder what we're talking about, of course, we're in the breaks. We like to read Twitch chat a little bit as well, and man, you guys have been so kind to us. I apparently, like, I look stressed. I 420. He's a serial killer. It's Twitch chat in a nutshell. Big shout out to all of you guys watching, of course, on Twitch. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. I think it's been a very fun first day over here.
It's been a lot of fun, man. We have a great set of talent here. It's just such a laugh.
Oh, and apparently I'm like Steve-O as well.
Yeah, that's the best one.
This is all Apollo.
Can you do Steve-O's voice?
Well, I think think
something
like
else.
every single thing he says is a curse word, which I don't want to repeat.
He can't
so.
do that part, but he's got that excellent voice. But,
He does say, he for a bit he tried to start up his own YouTube channel.
really?
Yeah.
I would have watched that.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it, and he came across pretty genuine and sweet. Either way, we're getting ready to hop into game number 2 between uThermal and Bly. uThermal looked a little pissed, maybe bored, but I can't imagine him being bored because he must want his sweet revenge on this Ukrainian Zerg spawning on the right top side of Cactus Valley, of course, representing Acer. It is Bly.
Playing a great first game, and here we have the other player. In the top left of the map, Cactus Valley, it is uThermal. Looking for revenge after that dance.
I have to admit, I want my boy to step it up a little bit now, Moonglade. I've been hyping uThermal quite a bit lately, and I hate it when I look silly. According to Dario, I look silly pretty much all the time. But that's actually...
Apparently Twitch chat as well, man,
Yeah, well, I knew that already, but like when it comes from Dario. No, but uThermal is such a phenomenal player. He had a great run at the Index 3 Masters Shenzhen qualifier. Looks so rock solid when it comes to WCS qualifiers and stuff. And with the way that uThermal has been performing over the last 2-3 months, absolutely no disrespect towards Bly, but I feel uThermal should win this series. I even felt he should have dominated this series.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
I agree.
And now he's one map away from being eliminated of the Intex 3 Masters Gamescom in the phase of the tournament where there's no way I would have expected uThermal to be eliminated.
I think it's a lot to do with how the day has turned out, how long the day has been for these guys as well. This is like uThermal's third chance, I believe we heard on the panel as well. He's gone through a lot of negative emotions already. He's probably pretty drained at this point. Same with Bly though, and he's kind of reflected in Bly's play. He had such a bank so early on when we were kind of confused, and he shame made 18 drones and a couple of hatcheries. And
I've never heard that expression.
Really?
Do you guys use that a lot?
No, it's just me, man.
Oh, right. I was about to say, I was like, I feel like I'm missing out on the inside joke over here.
No.
Like, I get it, and I think it's funny, but I haven't...
There's that and there's rage building overlords.
Yeah, I do know that one. It's
Yeah.
like supply block 2, 3. It's like, why am I still supply block?
Yeah.
Then like 7.
Yeah, it's like make like 8 overlords. You put 800 minerals into like the first 8 minutes of the game in overlords.
It's like, well, at least I won't be supply blocked anymore. Like,
Yeah,
it's something.
you're like 150, like 60 out of 150 or something. It's like,
I do know that feeling. It's like sometimes like you're waiting, you're looking at your supply, and you're like, my pylon is about to finish up, right? It's like, I could swear I built a pylon. Then you look and it's like, there's nothing happening, and then it's just like, then I hold down E and it's click, 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 and it's like 7 or 8 pylons going down immediately.
worst feeling in the world.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. Marines have been waiting for the overlord, but that was a hatchery.
Is he?
Sorry, a pool first.
He's gas first. It's like, uThermal, you're playing against a Zerg player over here. You know that, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. He could actually kill this overlord, but he's scared of these lings. If he committed, he'd get it, but he's not. He's playing it safe, which is smarter. He didn't know where those things were going to be.
But let's talk a little bit talk to me about this opening, Moonglade, because you are the resident Zerg expert over here. The only Terran I've ever seen doing this in like high-level competitive StarCraft 2 is 4GG, and it was horrible against Live on this, how's this 3-play map called again, with the Zelnaga Watchtower in the middle? Well, they all got that. Merry-go-round.
Merry-go-round. Oh, yeah,
I think he did it at the DreamHack Winter back then. And
it's going to give you the option to go for fast Hellbats as well, right? Like, you can do a lot. You're going to get Hellions out so much quicker. Behind that, you can get like a fast starport if you want to. You can be aggressive.
Yeah, at least he is dropping a command center behind this, so it's not super all-in, but this is a very uneconomic opening, to say the least, for uThermal.
No, it certainly is. I guess it gives him a little bit of safety, or a little bit of map control that he wants early.
What's Bly doing? Why is he making 2 overlords at once and he's not building anything?
Well,
now?
you know what he's doing, mate. He's making some roaches in just a second, but
that's always going to get scouted.
It is, but not a bad choice considering the build order. But this is kind of the big problem right now, too. Hellions are actually going to do damage, which is ridiculous to a Zerg player this early on. But I guess, if you're not prepared, you're not prepared.
Might even get... If I kill this drone, I would run into the main base and see if I can get a cheeky scout off.
He needs a cheeky scout. It would help out so much, but the Roach counterattack could do so much damage.
Okay, does he have 2 more Hellions cruising to the other side of the map? There's a Marauder on the way already, so perhaps uThermal is expecting something. I think a couple Widow Mines right now. If he truly knows it, don't you think 2 Widow Mines would be phenomenal?
2 Widow Mines would be a lot more helpful than 2 more Hellions, that's for sure.
Well, he's going to see it right now. Is uThermal paying attention? Yes, he turns around immediately, has full HP left on these Hellions. I would cancel the Hellions and make Widow Mines. But
Yeah,
I mean,
I guess they're almost finished by now. And when you got like a lot of Hellions as well, you can do some pretty decent splash damage to Roaches.
Especially on the ramp, because the Roaches will clump up a little bit on that ramp. But there are 2 mines on the way. I know my Terran a little bit.
Yeah, you're fine, man. I mean, with Marauders already...
Thank you, Glad. You're fine, man.
You're great, buddy. Don't worry. I got your back. There's no real damage here, and we saw Bly instantly start droning up the moment they got scouted. And with this amount of Hellions on the map, he can't really abandon his base until he makes a SimCity at the front.
And I mean, of course, uThermal is still technically mining of 1 base. At least he's able to produce SCVs 2 at a time, and it's 27 against 28 now. That's a great scenario, don't get me wrong, but he has to start floating over that command center soon, though. Otherwise, you know, he's going to mine out his main base a little bit too quickly, and then eventually he will be forced to go up to 3 bases very quick because he has completely mined out his main.
Yeah, look at this, more Roaches on the way. He's going to go for like a fast Roach speed.
I really like this. This is so annoying when they do it against Protoss. And I think it's very good as well because it's going to force Bly. Okay, and this is smart by Bly as well. Bly realizes, well, I at least eventually want to be able to go up to 3 bases. And I don't want to wait for an Overseer, so I'm going to pull a couple of Roaches there.
Oh, man. Don't attack the Distractor, but here we go. Lining them up, no drone movement.
Wow, indeed. He's not moving them at all. Did you watch his little video that EJK made about microing your workers against Hellions?
No.
It was on Reddit a couple of weeks ago. EJK, a pretty solid North American Terran player, and he showed a couple of really cool tricks of how to deal effectively with Hellions. And he barely had any units, and there were 3 Hellions dropped in his main base, and he ended up losing only 3 SCVs. It was really sick the way he did it. It's a great little educational video on YouTube.
Oh, that's really interesting. Yep. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I actually I took notes of it. Of course, it's a little harder with probes because they have less HP.
Yeah.
But it still helped me.
Here we go, Roach speed on the way, more Overlords as well. Yeah, looks like he's just gonna play the same kind of game he played last time.
Oh, if Bly makes a big transfer, by the way.
Oh, that'd be a beautiful thing. It's kind of different. I didn't really see Zerg stack up 1 base full of drones and transfer them though. Oh, and a Nidus on the way as well, but uThermal's got a pretty nice spread of his base. He's got a... Oh, actually, there's a little bit of fog of war there that could get in a
maybe
Nidus.
The next depot, because I felt that first SCV is already kind of like building a depot that's supposed to scout for the Nidus network. Where's the Overlord? The Overlord has to kind of go past the supply depot though, or he could maybe do it outside of the main, but that is not going to help. Like this has to happen real soon for Bly, and uThermal just needs to keep producing units.
I don't even think he can. I mean, look at this army. They all have stim as a tank and so many Marauders already.
But like, take a look at the army supply right now. If everything would be unloaded at once, then I think Bly can overrun him. Obviously, every second that passes by now is a great second for uThermal. Don't get free shots there, Bly, because you need all the HP a man can get on his Roaches. Nidus network's going on. It's going to go down next to the depot. Does uThermal pay attention? I almost feel this is like a sacrificial Roach run by.
Yeah, it totally is.
Yep, like look at but why are there still Roaches in the natural?
Oh, he's coming in now.
He's going to stim, he's going to stim.
A few are going to get out at least.
Yeah, he's going to kill it though. Ah, this is perfect for uThermal. This is like best case scenario. Well, let's see 2 more Roaches than I expected to be out. But I think all these Roaches will die. The next Nidus network will never go up. uThermal left enough units behind in the natural as well. And he has completely shut this down. And we may see a cheeky Marauder or a Marine dance soon.
We might just, or even a simple Mana Mule would do me just fine.
I would do more. If anyone dances their units against me in game number 1, it's not a cheeky little Mana Mule, mate. We're gonna see a Planetary Fortress offensive rush into a Marine dance, into a Mule drop, into a nuke. Like you're gonna get. I'm gonna go the whole 9 yards. Then.
Damn, that's ruthless.
Hey, come on, dancing in game 1.
Yeah, I understand it. It's completely justified. It's turning out to be another kind of wonky game, by the way. Like it's just these guys just playing so crazily aggressive.
It's almost like they're tired.
I get the impression that might just be it. So we see a Marine drop. It is lacking in upgrades for both sides as well, which is kind of funny.
It's a pretty big game though, because the winner of this best of 3 of course qualifies for the Intel Extreme Masters, which is a big opportunity on its own. But something that sometimes people forget is that everybody who makes it into the Intel Extreme Masters will get paid guaranteed. I believe it's $350 or $400. Even if you end up losing every single game in the group stage, you still walk away with $400. And
really?
Yeah.
I thought it was just the top 4 this time.
Top 4?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Is it prizes for top 4 and that's it?
No.
Yeah,
You sure?
I think so.
That would be really unique. That would be very different.
But I know exactly what you're talking about because it's always usually been that way. I could be wrong and maybe it's not a... But I was looking at the Wikipedia page.
I really can't imagine that. I want to verify that now, so Glade, take it away. It's all you.
Right. No problem. We do see a lot of bio from uThermal. Barreling down towards the natural here. There's still a lot of roaches, but he can kite them for some time. He does have enough medivacs to really heal up this army multiple times as well, or simply go for the drop. And that's one great advantage you have against Roach, these ground styles, is that you do have a lot of freedom with your medivacs to just go for big drops time and time again. And generally, the natural sort of way of dealing with this army, what we see over in Korea is, 3-3 bio dropping everywhere. All right, so just top 16.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I was completely wrong with that. I'm sorry.
Intact Masters pay very well. $25,000 total prize pool, $10,000 for the winner. And even if you end up losing every single game in the main event, you still get $350. Bly is going to try to make some magic happen with roaches one more time. I'm actually impressed with his supply. Tries to get another Nidus network off. He's definitely very persistent when it comes to trying to make this work.
Yeah, I mean, if you can sneak one in there, you're going to do so much work. And look at this. That buyer is doing a lot of work. He's not going to kill the base, but he's got a few drones.
Man, I'm actually surprised that supply-wise, Bly is still ahead. And again, he has 1,000 minerals in the bank as well. Of course, the supply tab is a little bit deceiving because roaches are pretty heavy on supply. But on a certain point, they do kind of fall off when it comes to, just fighting abilities against thin bio. But after a filled Nidus and taking so much damage early on economically, of course, uThermal didn't have the most economic opening ever. Bly is putting up a really good fight over here.
Yeah, he is. He's really gotten to his groove dealing with this kind of army, and this double drop towards the main is going to do a lot of damage because there's nothing there. He's going to have to run all the way from the third up here, and if he's on top of his stems and he goes for the drones, he could do a lot of economic damage right now. That or the evolution chambers are going to be golden.
Well, it's going to be difficult for Bly to defend both locations at once. He's going to not actually end up in evolution chamber. If these Marines wouldn't have moved and would have just been left behind to click on the evolution chamber, they would have actually killed it. But by uThermal running those Marines away, the evolution chamber survived. And Bly is actually defending both locations at once. Of course, it does still really suck for him that he doesn't have any creep spread whatsoever. But does uThermal have a third command center? Because I don't think he does.
Currently, it doesn't look like it, not at all. So,
wow.
Certainly one thing going for him, and he's very light on the upgrades, which is something I think is so important against this army.
Wow, it's not even +1 armor.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a sick play. Unfortunately, I think uThermal was not going to try to drop anymore. He's just going to go all out.
The big attack.
Man, that's almost a Warcraft 3 move. You remember, like against Undead against Orc with the burrowed Crypt Fiends, and then the Wind Riders fly in.
Oh, yeah.
And then they unburrow and they web everything.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, look at this. This army is kind of terrifying from uThermal if it can get set up in a good place.
But this is also do or die for uThermal. He needs to win this fight because he doesn't have another command center. Small little roach counter for Bly as well. He's going to pick up a couple reinforcements and it's going to do more and more economic damage. Can Bly make a miraculous hold over here?
It's going to be hard. The counterattack's not going to do too much either, considering all those buyers waiting at home. It's about getting these tanks siege up in the right place so we can cut off the natural from the third
Bly,
base.
You're only fighting with half your army. Not even half, more like a quarter of your army.
Yeah, there's no way at this point. He just lost half his army for nothing.
There's 19 Hydralisk on the way. Bly really could have perhaps pulled that one off if he would have got the engagement that every Zerg is dreaming of. Now a couple of the roaches clump behind those Hydras as well. There's just not enough damage output anymore, I think, in this Zerg army.
Yep, and more armies coming from the main base. It might be enough, it's hard to say. One tank remains and a lot of drones from behind.
These Marauders, man, there's just so many medevac. All of these Marauders got their personal little health care.
He's going to defend, but he's down so greatly, losing 22 drones in that.
Finally got a Nidus network off. Doesn't have any units anymore to put it in, but hey, it's all about being persistent, man.
Yeah.
Never give up, never surrender.
I guess he can use it for a counterattack in the future as well when he moves that army across the map again. But
that's very ambitious.
This time around he's going to need everything at home because that is a scary army already.
No, he's going to see this. He's going to be like, oh my god, Bly, like, what? Give me a break.
He's just going to go home. As a queen comes out.
That's actually smart because normally when you kill the Nidus network, then the creep will disappear, but there will still be a creep to it. So smart play, unfortunately for Bly. It does not really matter as he's going to end up losing his last remaining Hydralisk. The queen is going to fall as well. And just like this, uThermal is going to be able to even up the series, and it will all come down to the rubber match. Game number 3 to determine if we're going to have a Ukrainian or a Dutch player make it to the main event.
Well, here we go. He's going to get rid of the third basin. He could be dancing right now if he wanted to, but he's being the bigger man here.
Nah, he's going to dance in game 3 if he wins.
You
Trust
reckon?
me. Yeah, I reckon.
All right.
He just doesn't want to be that guy that starts dancing before the series is over.
Oh.
Nobody wants to be that guy. That's just like...
But when you dance when the series is over, you're really rubbing it in. Like, you're being a bad sportsman at that point, right?
No. Like,
You'd be some cheeky and then game
okay,
2.
yeah, maybe. I mean,
I
but
like that.
That's part of the...
And you have to dance if your player's if the enemy's gonna counterattack with 5 counters. GG. That's when you dance.
That's the SCVs. If only that was possible. uThermal evens up the series. No, I'm not a very superstitious person, but I would never dance my units in game 1 because I just feel like you're asking for it. I'm like,
Yeah, that is a little arrogant. I've got to admit.
you're just asking for the bad karma. Like,
I've never really done that. I've never really danced my units. Unless it's like someone who's mana milled me.
Yeah.
And then I'll just go crazy.
yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I don't normally do it.
Yeah.
Or sometimes when a game like opens up very frustrating, when a guy's like Widowmine dropping with like an annoying Reaper harass, and then like I'm losing, but somehow things go well. Then I was like, shall I? And it's like, cheeky dance.
I guess if they cheese you out as well, if I'm defending a proxy 2-rax marine or something, and I defeat it, I'll just like do really awkward movements and then try and embarrass them.
Yeah, no, of course. So, like stuff like that, I think it's okay. But then it's like a best of 1 and let it. Nobody really cares. But it's such an important best of 3 as this one. I can talk about this for days. Dancing your units in game 1, that's not something we see.
You're not a fan of that one bit.
I wouldn't even say I'm not necessarily a fan of it. Like, I think it's cool because it gives us something to talk about and it adds a little bit of spice to the series. So I like it in that regard. But I'm just like, man, like I hope that you got something really good planned for game number 2 and 3 because, you're kind of asking for it. That's basically what recently happened in that one UFC fight, where the one fighter had a really big mouth and then the other one didn't really say anything, and then the one with the really big mouth lost in 40 seconds.
That happens like every single time. You mean the Ronda Rousey versus the Brazilian chick?
Yeah, the Brazilian chick is like, don't cry, don't cry. And then
that's
Ronda
right.
Rousey walks by, he's like, don't cry, after she wins the fight.
That was great.
Yeah. Alrighty, we are loaded into the final game of StarCraft 2 today for the first day of the Intel Extreme Masters in Cologne. The right bottom side of Iron Fortress, we're looking at the main base of the Ace Zerg. Likes to dance his units, it's Bly.
Loves that Roach Hydra style. Here in the top left, we do have the Terran player winning last game. It is uThermal. Showing some great play against the Roach Hydras.
Yeah, shutting down that first Nidus network was so important. Like, I thought it was kind of cool how Bly didn't just distract him with those 4 roaches in the natural. He even left other roaches behind as well, just barely inside, which makes it even less likely that uThermal would have been able to spot the Nidus network in time.
Yeah.
Like, recently we saw it. I'm not sure if you were able to catch Starbuck versus Bunny in WCS. Where Starbuck went for that distraction Nidus outside of the main base, and while he was like basically fighting there, he threw down another Nidus network into the main base, and Bunny was so occupied with the front that he completely forgot to check the back of his main base. And then actually a lot of roaches and Nidus or queens popped into his main, and that was going to be it. And that completely swung the series in the other way. And I think Bly tried to do something similar to that, but uThermal was too focused, too concentrated. That's the thing, man. Like that game number 1 cheeky dance, put him on edge.
That set the laser beams on.
Yeah, it's like rather.
I see.
It's war right now. Like,
yeah, you can't do that to me. You can beat me, but you can't embarrass me like that.
Exactly. Like this is one of those moments where in game number 1, uThermal probably was still listening to One Direction and Britney Spears, but in game number 2, he went full Nirvana or something like that.
Nirvana.
Yeah.
He probably went death metal or something.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
Like, went to Under Oath, dude, and he started getting the real stuff going.
Yeah, I kind of thought that Nirvana, like I actually don't listen to Nirvana, so I thought Nirvana was death metal.
No, man, that's like, I think it's like slow rock or something.
Slow rock?
I don't even know what you'd call it. It's rock, I guess.
Okay.
It's pretty chill.
Grunge?
Grunge? Okay. Thank you, Funka.
Yeah, Funka likes to listen to weird music.
Yeah, he seems like emo.
Yeah, he like... Oh, I love how he tried to type something and he's like, well, I got nothing. Like, oh, Funka is like the least emo guy ever. He's so happy. Alright, over here we see these Zerglings marching across the map. I don't think Blind knows yet where uThermal has spawned. We may expect it. uThermal again going for that factory before command center. Truly, you could say not wanting to take any risks, but in a weird way, this is a risk on its own.
Yeah, well, you know, he's kind of giving. He wants the map control, and it's not a bad map to do it on. The same properties as merry-go-round. It's so open. The natural's so open. Oh,
2 Marines is enough.
It should be enough.
He won't lose a Marine. He won't lose a Marine. The calls.
You should have bet money on that one.
That would have been the first bet I won this month.
Well, as I was saying, when you have Hellions out on the map like this, you have complete map control. It's so much easier. You can go for those Hellion run-bys again.
But it puts you a little bit in a position where, as a Terran, you almost have to do something with it. Like, there's a reason why most Terrans get a quicker command center than this, and that's just because it gives them, less of an urge to truly make something happen. Yes, those first 2 Hellions in the previous game, they did magnificent. What was it? 6, 7 drones?
Yeah,
Something
that was
like that?
sick damage. I do like the Reaper opening into Hellions. You don't necessarily have to get him this early, but it looks like he wants to do for this run-by style again.
Yeah, but with 2 queens, it's going to be a little bit more tricky. Let's not forget that Bly only had a single queen on the low ground in Cactus Valley in the previous game. Now he has all queens over here. And now Bly is not a player that likes the super standard game, right? Just drone up, eventually go up to 3 bases, work with minimal amount of units. That's not the way that Bly likes to play StarCraft. However, if his opponent completely switches it up, Bly should be smart enough to realize that I don't really have to do anything crazy now. I can play normal and I'll already be in a good position. But these 4 Hellions just cruising by, ignoring the queens. It's a drone party once more, man. Oh my god.
Oh, this is actually too much damage this time.
Oh god, it's not even close to over yet. 2 Hellions still have a lot of HP. 12 drones have gone down.
Well. And he's gonna get a scout off in the main as well. So, why not? And yeah, that was way too much. And I feel like he really broadcast that he was going to do that. It was kind of obvious. He saw the Hellions as early as they were last game. They've tried to run by last game. You have the creep spread. Let's throw down a couple of buildings and block it off with the queens. Save your life. Instead, he loses, that many drones, 14 drones. Game-changing, critical damage.
Yep, like we said, uThermal with his opening does kind of have to do something. Well, killing 16 drones qualifies as doing something. Like, that's more than just something.
Yeah, that is huge. And we're seeing the same style again from Bly. He seems to be really stuck in this way. He doesn't want to go for the Mutiling Bane at all. He wants to go straight to the Roaches.
It's such a shame, because if Bly looks back at this game and if he plays against this opening one more time, I'm pretty damn sure he just throws down 2 Evolution Chambers in the front or Evo Chamber Roach Warren, and then
it's kind of a natural thing you do as well in the matchup in general. Is like you want to
but normally it's a little bit later, right? Like
generally, but if you're going to see Hellions that early, it's like...
You may as well.
It's like, why not, right?
You're going to get these buildings eventually anyway, and as long as you don't take damage, you're going to be ahead. Like, Bly is a player that always wants to do something crazy to get ahead in the game and play it from there. But with the opening that uThermal goes for, Bly actually doesn't have to do anything crazy, because he is ahead as long as he doesn't mess up.
Certainly so, it's kind of giving him a reason not to, but Bly doesn't want to take that opportunity. Instead, he just wants to keep going with the aggression. Cut corners where he can. And we are seeing Roaches come out and Roach speed once again, so same build as the last couple of games.
Would you say it's good for uThermal that it's cross-map playing against a Roach player like Bly?
Yeah, I think the more time Terran has, the better to deal with this kind of style, because the later it gets, the more useless Roaches become.
That's exactly how I felt as well. Of course, there is a small silver lining to this situation as well for Bly, is that it's harder to keep track of the Roaches when it's cross-map, so he can swing in from more than just the obvious way, whether it's horizontal or vertical. Now he can go, either via the right side or via the south side of uThermal's main base, and it can be hard to keep track of all the Roach movement, but in general, it will give uThermal more time to prepare against the Roach madness that Bly will potentially throw at him.
Yeah, certainly so. SCV Scout gonna see what's going on. No, he's gonna try for a queen. When double drop has the potential there, but some Roaches are waiting.
I still can't believe you just threw Funka under the bus like
this. He knows I love him very much.
uThermal is going to unload his Marines over here. Unfortunately for uThermal, Marines do not have the same range as Colossus. Unless you're Stralok. That's like Mr. Bidder's favorite story of all time. Do you know this story?
I'm not sure.
Alright, well, I'll tell it to you as soon as there is no action in this game. This is Mr. Bitta's favorite casting story. Mr. Bitta has built a career out of telling this story on every single cast he ever did.
Look at this. He's kind of just using the Medivacs to buy himself a lot of time. He's not really finding much damage there.
So in a past far away, we went to China for the Intel Extreme Masters, but back then we didn't have like referees like we have right now, and we were hosting the maps in Chinese, and it turned out somebody hosted the wrong version of, I think Shakura's Plateau was the map actually, the wrong version of Shakura's Plateau.
Right.
And it turned out that the Marines were not your regular Marines. They had 8 range and double damage.
So really?
And we didn't notice at first. Don't ask me how we didn't notice. Maybe jet lag or something. But like Strelok is just completely wiping the floor with Revival, right? He's everywhere. Mudas do 0 damage. We're like, oh my god, Strelok is playing out of his mind.
Wow.
And then suddenly Revival pauses the game. He's like, hey, this is not normal, man. So it turned out that these Marines were like 3 times as good as they were supposed to be. And then Strelok tried to argue that he was winning the game anyway. I was like, yeah, Strelok, your Marines at Colossus range.
Ridiculous.
Anyway, uThermal goes for a big double drop in the back of the natural and does quite a bit of damage actually. He's going to drop in the main base as well. This is the Maru Thermal that we know and love in the European scene.
Oh, it's not enough roaches either. He's actually in a lot of trouble right now. He's taking way too much damage at this natural and the main base. He's falling apart.
Yeah, this is just uThermal as I think I know him in general the best. Of course he did a lot of damage early on, but finally his drops are connecting. Finally his drops are doing damage in most of his previous TVCs. Look at this, 21 drones. That's the average amount of drones that the French player Moment built in most of his games.
Shots fired. Well, he did all the damage he ever needed to do with these double drops. 21 drones going down, and a lot of that army shaved off because it was such a bad, awkward position to fight in with roaches. uThermal, miles and miles ahead. It's actually ridiculous right now. It's gonna require a miracle for Bly to find a way back into this. You know, I can't believe he took so much damage in the main mess and continues to do so. This is too much. This is game-ending damage.
How many drones have died in this game? Must be like, I won't say 50, but it's 40 so far. Still a staggering amount. uThermal all over game number 3. Look at this army marching across the map. Do you think their hips will lie?
No, I think they're going to be pretty honest when they come across and start shooting stuff. Will their hips lie?
Yeah, it's a Shakira song.
I like the Shakira, man.
Who doesn't?
Big fan. My favorite music.
Medivac will die eventually as it hovers above that Spore Crawler, but that won't change the fact that this is an almost indestructible army for uThermal, as uThermal wants to secure his spot at the Intel Extreme Masters main event, a spot where we definitely thought he was going to end up, but the road was a lot more rocky and bumpy than we thought it was going to be. But it seems like it's not going to matter in the end, as he just has so much. Doesn't even really have to split over here. Kills the tank, or excuse me, kills the roaches in the
dances,
baselines.
mate? Where's the dancing? Where's the Manamule?
Wants to be sure, you know. You don't want to dance now and then lose your Marines.
That would be bad.
He has to do something.
It would add excitement to the game, though, and we have seen a pretty exciting series so far.
That's even worse than dancing in game 1. Dancing while the fight is going on.
Yes, and you lose your army and remax. It's like ruthless.
Yeah, cheeky, at least one mule.
It's the cheeky mule. And you know, 3rd time's the charm for uThermal. It took him 3 goes, but he finally made it out of the open bracket. It's great to see. Great Terran player.
Yep.
Really, really weird games.
I'm still super excited to see uThermal in the main event, even though he wasn't as dominating, as convincing as I thought he was going to be today. Looked a little sloppy from time to time, wasn't the flawless play we've seen in a couple of those WCS games or at Intel Extreme Masters Shenzhen run that he had, but in the end it's good enough, and maybe tomorrow or the day after, not sure if he's going to play in Group A or B or Group C and D. We will see, you know, maybe the uThermal 2.0, the uThermal that I am truly a fanboy of. Another double Mio goes down.
Sink it out. You know it's over, mate.
Yeah. He had to do it.
No,
Come on. You saw
getting
that one coming.
now, buddy. He's getting bad. GG.
I mean, you can't blame him for that. I think uThermal, in general, not a player who would have done that, but, you know, if you poke the beast.
Yeah, push comes to shove. uThermal's going to dance his stuff and drop mules.
Oh, okay. The kind of course, a devastating loss for Bly. Bly has had a year where so many times he's been so close to getting that big victory in WCS, to qualifying for that big event, and he often just falls short one map. It is of course a little bit devastating, but congratulations to uThermal, our first Dutch player that has qualified for the main event. And we will see him in action either today, or excuse me, either tomorrow or the day after. As of course tomorrow we'll be playing groups A and B, and the day after that we'll be playing groups C and D. I was joking a little bit with uThermal before. That was even before he played Red. I was like, just go in the group with Innovation, man. 2-0 Innovation, go for glory. He's like, nah, I think I prefer State's group. Like State Lambo, he's like sounds slightly more appealing than Innovation or Sue.
Yeah, that group C seems to be what everyone's looking for. You want to stay away from A and B at the moment, but you know, it's not a bad thing if you have to play Innovation or Sue. You get that shot that not many people get.
Yeah, like it's one of those moments where, you know, nothing to lose, everything to win. You remember when the Muslim played Nesty in that one MLG tournament and he beat Nesty? Like, that kept the Muslim on EG for 2 years longer. That's just kidding, Dan. I love you.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great thing. It's a beautiful thing, man. You get that shot of that Korean. Yeah.
Well, so we know who have made it out of the open bracket. uThermal's probably making his way over to the analysis desk now, where he wasn't able to stand there the first time. That's devastating. The first time you play against TLO, you see him walk there doing his interview. You're like, oh, that should have been me. Then you play against Red, and then you see Red make that little walk of glory or pride, and then he stands and it's like, damn it. Well, third time's a charm for uThermal, as he has qualified for the main event, and he's standing with Apollo and someone else.
And that someone else, mate, is your best friend Todd. Here with uThermal, congratulations. You've finally done it a very long day. And as Rotterdam was saying, you've had to watch different opponents take that walk down here every time. You've now done it yourself. It must be kind of a happy feeling to know that finally it's over.
Actually, all I feel is a lot of hatred for Zerg. No, I'm really relieved I made it. Like, the last game was really easy, so
yeah.
I kind of calmed down a bit at the end. At the first, I was like, I don't feel like playing, I want to go home.
Really?
Yeah, I was really tired and still hungry, and I kept losing over and over to Zerg.
Yeah.
And even before, I knew, like, my TVZ sucks, and then I lost against Zerg, and I was like, yeah, I'm so bad. And
So-
I keep confronting for myself.
I mean, was it more of an exhausting day for you? Is that kind of what you feel now? It's just like game after game after game, and then multiple same matchups back to back, or what was it that was tiring you out?
Well, usually I'm okay with that, but like the last 2 months I've been traveling and practicing like non-stop, and it feels like I'm kind of starting to get really tired and exhausted of it. So even before the event, I was like, you know, I'm just gonna see how it goes. It didn't go so well actually. I expected to get first place, especially when I faced TLO, because my win rate against him is really high. But I got completely crushed, and then against Red, I felt so hopeless. I tried some cheeses, didn't work. And then against Bly, kind of switched a bit. Like, I got to the defensive side, and the first game was really tough, but then I kind of got my rhythm and found a good build to counter.
You said that you think you sucks against Zerg. So what's your best matchup, or like your best matchup, second best matchup?
I used to be really good against Protoss, but it changed a bit because everyone figured out how to play against Reaper Factory opening. So it's like, it's my best, but not by a very big margin. And then my TVT is good, but TVT is kind of hard to see in tournaments because Europeans are really bad in TVT in general. Like, if you play against a Korean, you feel like a gold leaguer. So for European level, my TVT is my second best and my TVT is my worst. But maybe if I play against Koreans, TVT is probably my worst.
All right, well, I have to ask this question. I think everyone at home was thinking it. Game number one, dancing units. What was going through your mind then? Because Roddy thought one thing, Moonblade thought another. What was actually going on when you saw that, and what do you feel?
I actually think it's really funny when people dance against me. It makes me happy
Yeah?
for some reason, yeah.
Especially if you managed to turn it around full circle and end up winning the series anyway. I guess that's the best part of it.
Yeah, I love launching those mana mills. That's perfect.
If you had lost the series, you wouldn't think it's funny, would you?
No, probably not.
Final question here, Todd, before talking about the groups. Just like you said that you struggled a little bit against Zerg again, so like you had some rough matches. Do you attribute that to fatigue maybe a little bit, or is it just the matchup in general that gets the best of you these days? Well, how would you evaluate TVZ right now and Euro TVZ in general?
Well, usually I'm not that affected by fatigue. I always just manage to play my game, but when I practice, even sometimes I'm able to lose against random Zergs because like my micro and macro is good for the matchup and my late game as well, but my understanding is very weak. So I usually end up really far behind after the early game for like, in my opinion, no reason, because I just don't know what's going on, right? So especially, for example, against Red, I try to cheese him because every time I play 3CC against him, it feels like he can just make 100 drones and I'm just behind. Like, I really don't understand how you're supposed to be able to play a standard game. So the most annoying part about that is that I don't feel comfortable. Like,
Right.
yeah.
I felt the same when I played Red before, so don't worry. Like we're in this together, man.
So let's move and talk a little bit about the groups. I think everyone that's made it out the open bracket is kind of sharing the same opinion where, you know, I'd like to kind of avoid Group A and Group B. They are the more difficult ones, and Group C or Group D would suit me better. So I'm going to guess you share the same opinion there too.
Yeah, of course.
Is there anyone that you'd actually like to go up against though? Is there like a player that, because I think Tilo, or was it Rhett, said, you know, if I do get drawn into Group B, I actually would like to play Innovation because you don't get the chance. Is there like a type of player or matchup you'd like to face if you were in any of the groups?
Actually, I'm more in the mindset that I want to play some TVZs because I also have WCS coming up with 2 Zergs in my group, and I really just want to improve against Zerg because I can't just keep losing over and over to Zerg. That would feel just stupid. So I kind of want to play Zerg, and of course I'd like to get Group D because Nurcho is like the easiest Zerg out there. Like against him, I could even play macro and win. So if I get Group D, I'll get another top 8 in a row. I guess that would feel good.
Why is it so easy against him? He's supposed to be a good player, no?
I think he plays too much Legacy of the Void. Like every time you play against him, it's so easy. Like he doesn't do anything; he just plays macro. But for some reason, he just has like half the units of any other Zerg. Like he just seems kind of weak, to be honest.
All right, well, thank you for coming up here and congratulations, and hope you get some good rest ready to fight tomorrow, or perhaps the day after if you get drawn into Group C. I mean, maybe that's like another added bonus of Group C and D, is like that day extra of rest could be kind of good. But yeah, congratulations, uThermal, and we'll see you play group stages. Let's have a quick look at the schedule, as right now we've completed officially day 1, and we're now ready to move into Groups A and Group B on Thursday tomorrow, with Group C and Group D on Friday, and then the quarterfinals. Unfortunately, our favorite caster Claris is going to be missing Saturday as he's got important duties to attend to. But then Sunday we have the semi-finals and then grand finals. Welcome, Claris, to the analysis desk. Just like that bit of magic, and uThermal's turned into Claris.
There you go.
How's it going? Well,
okay.
what are the important duties? we're hearing
Important
about?
duties? I'm a busy man, Todd. Busy man.
This guy can cast multiple games at a high level, and so he's high demand.
There you go.
That's the answer.
Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, let's leave it at that. I love
I really want to take a shot, even me, but I'm not going to do it.
No, you got to leave him alone, Claris. We know you pick on Todd way too much.
No, I'm sorry.
Guys, let's go over the open bracket. You know, one last time is we won't ever see this graphic again at this tournament, so we might as well have a quick look. Open bracket 1, fully completed, as Patience and Hiramarine go through in first and second place. Unfortunately, their Blythe did play in the constellation game, but not lucky enough to make it through. Open bracket 2 was the Liquid players moving through in first and second place. Team Liquid continuing to do well. So we had Tilo and Rhett go through, and as you can see there, the other player at the constellation game, uThermal, was the player to make it through. A pretty fun day here. You know, a long one, not super long. It was only 9 best of 3s. We've all done in our history a lot longer than that, and so have the players. But a fun day to start off the Intel Extreme Masters.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, looking at the brackets, I don't think anyone really saw too many surprises there. But I think people probably expected Deep Drogo to do a little bit better after Aces ROG run, I think.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest surprise of today, right?
I don't want to make any excuses, but he was really tired and didn't play. That's pretty much an excuse.
But that seemed to happen. I mean, August and I think, to be honest, I think August, July, around areas, the busiest months of all StarCraft, right? If I'm not mistaken, because, you know, September is kind of busy, but then it starts to slow down a little bit come October, and then there's BlizzCon and so on, and it really does die down. But right now is crunch mode for a lot of these players. Yeah,
everyone needs WCS points, right? I mean, that's something that a lot of people are looking for at the moment. You know, it really depends on, for a lot of the non-Koreans, like, if they're actually going to be able to get to BlizzCon. It's very rare that that opportunity comes along, but for some of the Koreans that are here, like Innovation and Zoom and stuff like that, yeah, it gets busy.
All right, well, guess what it's time for, boys? I've just been HQ have now called in the online specialist of operations. Even though he's not here, Graham Pitt is called in, and the groups are ready. So we have the round of 16, the main tournament groups. Here we go. Is Hero Marine goes into Group A, Ret into Group B, uThermal into Group C, TLO and Patience into Group D. Todd, initial thoughts there?
Well, Hero Marine and Red, not quite a very lucky
Short
draw here.
straws.
Yeah, first match against Sue and Innovation, definitely unfortunate, but you know what? I don't think there is like an easy way to go far in a tournament anyway, so you might as well get down to it ASAP. So that's going to be interesting to follow these guys, and then uThermal in a group with State Lambo, 4GG. Maybe I guess the little bit of an easier group over there. uThermal, I think, is definitely going to be happy with that. And
I think he said in his interview, he's like, if I get in Group C, I think I've got another top 8 again.
Yeah. I think there's a good chance he can make it out of it too. And then Group D, Stardust, Nerd Show, TLO Patience, with the two Korean producers facing each other, and Nerd Show, TLO. That's going to be nice to see that after the recent history that these two have had, where they played in Challenger and TLO kind of collected his free win that he thought he was going to get.
Yeah, so good overall groups there, but I mean, there was no doubt whichever way this got drawn, Group A and Group B were going to be the standout groups with the two favorites in Nasu and Innovation, and that's going to be our games for tomorrow. So, we got a really crazy day coming up tomorrow, so you guys don't want to miss any of that. And of course, Group C and Group D, as mentioned from previously on the schedule, will be played on the following day. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. I hope you had a fun day just like I have. I mean, I don't get to really do that much anymore, just stand here and talk a little bit while you guys do the real work. So thank you for carrying me through today, guys.
Such a red eye line again.
Thanks, Todd.
Cheers, Todd. You've been so positive
Todd.
all day with Moonglade, with Pig, with Roddy. I'm glad you ended the night on a positive note as well.
Yeah, that's me. Positive guy in a nutshell right there.
It is, man.
All about compliments.
The only thing that could make
I'm
Todd
comparing
more
you
happy,
to the greatest host in esports of all time.
Well,
Doesn't get any better than this, does it?
He is the greatest host of all time, so you're right there. The only thing that could make Todd happier is if he got more likes on his gym selfies.
I think so.
Gotta get it in one time before we lose now. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Do make sure to check out plays.tv for all matches of the Intel Extreme Masters from previously in Shenzhen to today in Gamescom, or well, in Cologne, Germany for now. Gamescom on Sunday, remember. All matches, all highlights are included. We'll see you tomorrow for a group play. Group A and Group B will be played out.